failure here. I
Hold
like
it
when
up on purpose.
I like when I go for it, but not going to happen. Obey had the first pick and the first ban. We'll see which direction they opt to go in. Normally, when they ban out first, they're looking for more of these meta bans. Obey Alliance are very much a team that really like to observe what's going on and just sort of stick to it, and so they're going to get rid of the Kernanos.
I think that's a solid selection. Just eliminate a fairly strong hunter right now. Take it away from Zach, so you don't want to worry about it. And we know that Obey trusts their hunter most definitely. Like, he's not going to have any issues with what he tends to opt for. So I think that they'll be fairly safe with that. And I also really like the Osiris band coming out from SoaR Gaming.
I mean, this guy is just really strong. He's very, very naturally tanky, 16% and 8% for physical and magical damage reduction, just innately built into the kit without thinking about items at all.
And plus Susano, it's very standard bans, I would say, so far from both of these teams. I think that you can kind of expect the Susano to be eliminated from the table, even if it's not, you know, somebody like Mifflin Optifor or anything like that, or just Obey not wanting to deal with the other team trying to play out this god. And finally, it'll be the Zeus.
Yeah, that's a different ban. Delta Beam's really strong when it comes to the Zeus, so we do see that ban come out. It's not a standard ban though. Why do you think the Z-Man's out?
I think that it's a smart choice to eliminate strong AoE controlling gods such as Zeus. We saw what Cloud was able to do in that last set, and I think that it's a point proven because Zeus just has so much area control in those narrow jungle passageways that it's a very smart selection. And if you can pick a front line to compensate for it as well and protect that Zeus, you can pretty much do whatever you want with him.
Interesting. Most of the time, I kind of expect to see the Bologna ban in place of where the Zeus is, so that means Obey Alliance get that first selection, Bologna, who's so powerful. We've gone over why. Her sustain is pretty nuts when it comes down to the death toll interaction with the cleave basic attacks, but she also just brings a lot when it comes to the ultimate and some of the other elements of her kit.
There's no way it's a Freya.
No.
There's no way it could possibly be the Freya. I would be thoroughly shocked if that was actually a Freya choice, and it will be the Soul locked in instead for SoaR Gaming. Soul is a mage. I mean, she used to be a carry. She's been prioritized as a mage as of late since a little bit of a rework to her kit, and
right.
I think that it's been a solid choice for her. She's really strong in those objective team fights especially.
Yeah, she can absolutely shred towers and objectives as well. You know, those basics, what is it, 25% extra damage when she's all hot and crazy, so big points there for the mage. And she has been rising in the ranks, you know, and the Soul, or excuse me, the Freya, I would still be surprised, but I wouldn't think it's crazy unless it's that early in the draft. If you threw me a 5th pick Freya, I'd be like, all right, I see what you're doing, but not going to take the bait just yet. Soul and Robin, the selection. Robin likely to be found in the jungle, combined with Sunder. He winds up being very, very high pressure, but also high pressure early game, which is what we're talking about. A Wheelish comes through in the clutch.
And Wheelish is a god that Mifflin loves through and through. He is excellent on her as well. And so I think that's a very strong selection already. Between the Bologna and a Wheelish alone, there is so much early game pressure from Obey Alliance that SoaR Gaming, even with the Raven and the Soul, who also have a pretty solid clear, that they're definitely going to need to be careful.
The Hou Yi, powerful as always, and that'll be Mancer's selection right there for Obey Alliance. Arlong Shen looks to be the selection here for SoaR Gaming to pair up with that Raven. 2 tanky players on the right side of the map, whether it be long lane, short. Oh, well, no, we're going to go back to the Sun Wukong. But either way, my point still stands. It's the idea that we've got 2 tanky characters there in the short lane, the solo, and of course the jungle as well. And combining can be problematic.
I'm a little bit curious to see what direction SoaR decide to go in with the rest of their draft, considering that they already have a little bit of presence from the Soul and Robin. And I like Sun Wukong, not necessarily because of how his laning phase goes, but he can provide such a disorientation in team fights. It can be incredibly difficult to work around him. In the last set especially, I think that was an excellent example by Wolves. His team wasn't winning in the engagements really at all, but he was still able to be top of the player damage charts once the team fights were breaking out, and it was just a complete nuisance for locking them down. And it does appear as though SoaR Gaming is actually going to be the one running the Bologna, Wheelish, Hou Yi, and Obey with the Soul, Robin, and Sun Wukong.
This makes a little bit more sense to me now. We see the specific bands coming out, and now everything seems to come together. The mid lane focus of the Habwa and the Vulcan bands. Okay, sweet. Okay, so SoaR Gaming, their mid lane are going to be Keek's main. He likes basically all the gods that Obea just banned out. So I'm curious to see where they go. Of course, SoaR has one more band. It'll be Terra. Obea Lions will now select. Oh, okay, so it's Delta Marine on the SoaR.
Yeah. Yeah. It all comes together just a little bit. And yeah, I would definitely agree with you. That makes a lot of sense, especially considering how much Zaxi loves that Hu Yi. And I mean, if you want to provide, if you know that you're going to be selecting your hunter in the first 3 picks, you might as well eliminate a hunter in the initial 2 bans.
Well, Bay Alliance are going to lock in the Khepri, so the support player will go ahead and be able to resurrect, and that's always a strong selection. SoaR Gaming, 2 more choices as their option is now to round out their team. Bologna, solo, a Wheelish, jungle, Yi, hunter, Sobek, support. No real wiggle room right there. A little bit of ambiguity if you want to get really intense, but at the end of the day, not quite. Mid lane selection for Keek's main will be the Giannis. Love this guy. Always a fan of Giannis. I just never disliked the idea of walking through a wall.
Never dislike the idea of walking through a wall, and neither does the rest of your team, considering that you can walk through plenty of walls, whether you want to start the team fight or get out of one.
Yeah.
So I think that the Giannis, considering that the rest of SoaR's draft is already so pressure-oriented, is a very smart selection, because now they're going to have that, okay, never mind, we don't want to actually do this factor.
So the players have been baiting us all day with these hovers, and then, oh, you're not going to do that, and then they don't. Now, the Chronos was one of those where I sat here going, oh, you're not going to do that. But then they did. Chronos has not seen a lot of play since its change. I'm very happy to see it. We're going to see it right about now. God. I'm going to get it. I got it once. You know what happened? It's like when you're sitting at the what's it called? The red light, and you just know it's going to come, and you try to make it happen, but it doesn't. I got it once. I think it was 2 days ago on Saturday where I got it. I said, we're gonna do it.
You know
now.
The trick to that?
It looks so sick.
You wait until the light's already turned green, because that's what Maddie does. He waits until the light has already turned green, and then he says now. And then he's like, I did it.
No.
I did it.
No.
That's exactly his strat.
That doesn't
I wish
count.
I was kidding.
That doesn't count.
But he still feels accomplished, and I guess that's all
goodness.
that really matters. And Girdle pop already for Jelly. It looks like they are taking that popular strategy that we're accustomed to seeing in the dual lane and looking for that same clear in the mid.
Yeah. I still don't buy the Maddie strat. I'm not going to...
I wish I was kidding.
Oh,
I really do.
Oh, well. We'll have to see how it works out. Mancer on the Chronos. This character has had his Fatalis taken away. It's interesting. I feel like on the Soul, you need the item. You need an extra item. You need 7 items on Soul if you want to make her really work out in that hunter role, Fatalis being number 7. So she gets sort of left in that mid lane. Chronos, however, I think you can fit the Fatalis in the kit.
You think you can fit? I would say that Soul fits Fatalis in the kit more easily than a Chronos right now.
Really?
Really.
Why?
Really, really. Because Chronos is just so easily killable at the start of the game.
Sure.
And speaking of which, that could have been a bit of a tricky situation for Obey. Able to get out of danger there is the worst with the transformations. But yeah, the big issue that I have with Chronos going into the Fatalis route is since he doesn't have it in his kit anymore, we're aware of that, but he gets so much damage still from his time in the way that his kit works. And with that damage, you just want to look for that burst potential, because his in-hands are still going to chunk. You're still going to get that little bit of movement speed already. You don't really need the Fatalis on him, because you have the stun available. As long as you're landing your kit, then you're good to go. Plus, he has his rewind just in case. But
exactly.
With Soul, I feel as though it's more easy to fit into her kit, because she also does an insane amount of damage, but you have the possibility to have her second ability, which will give that nice little burst damage, and which also slows them if you land it. And plus, when she's heated up, I mean, that's a ton of in-hand damage.
Yeah, you're
proccing that with the Fatalis over and over again. You're just running people down, and you can fit it in around the 3rd item for her, and it'll still be just as effective if not more than what I would say for a Chronos.
Yeah, see, I feel like, I don't know, I like the Chronos when you build it, because the reason I say that Chronos can fit with the Fatalis a little bit better, Mancer, doesn't matter if he has a Fatalis or not, he's in huge trouble. 0 kills so far, and he will not be first blood. Zaxi now has a fantastic ricochet, but able to really get out of there because of, well, Capri. So, big deal right there. Nice abduct coming out from Mr. PB and Jelly to really save Chronos' life. My point, though, early game Chronos can get by just using his abilities. He doesn't really have to worry about his basic attacks. Late game Chronos can get by kind of just blowing people up with his abilities. Doesn't really have to worry about his basic attacks, but it's icing on the cake if he gets them. Mid game Chronos, kind of those basic attacks become a real big part of what you need to do. And that's usually before your accelerator is really maximized. So having that Fatalis mid-game, we're talking like you build power, you build boots, you build penetration, and then that fourth item that can go Tahuti or otherwise, I like to see that wind up being as Fatalis and then Tahuti afterwards. That's why I think he can really fit in. Of course, we'll have to wait to see where our buddy Mancer chooses to go with his build.
Mancer has to be incredibly passive in this lane, though, and he needs to just... That was a perfect example of what he needs to be doing every single time, just getting Zaxi to expend his ultimate. But Zaxi forcing out the Chronos ultimate is still the right direction because Chronos doesn't have a ton of health early, and that's probably the reason why we don't see as much gameplay from him early on. He's just so punishable. Ooh. And Keeks getting a little concerned there that there was going to be an abduct follow-up by the Capri, I believe, is the reason why we saw him burning his ultimate. Yeah,
quick trigger finger right there. It's interesting because he was turned around. I think he was staring at the situation. We wouldn't have seen the ult come out, but Keeks, better safe than sorry. He opts to go ahead and back to base. 4:20 on the clock. No kills just yet, despite a lot of aggression over here on the left and the mid lane, but still scoreless so far. Delta Marine on this SoaR is another point of conversation. We sort of went the other way with the Chronos talk, but this SoaR, I mean, she's been powerful in this mid lane, and Delta Marine probably couldn't be happier. He loves this character.
He absolutely loves SoaR, and on top of that, she's got survivability compared to the other gods that he tends to lean towards playing. I mean, we see him on the Hubwa, where you don't have very much, if any, of an escape option on that god. And with the SoaR, he's able to not only deal insane amounts of burst damage and just provide such a supporting factor in team fights, but he can just roll out of any situation with his third ability.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes down to it, SoaR is very, very safe. Mancer, he'll be okay. Safe? Maybe not so much, but he's not dead yet. Put it that way. He's able to really stay in lane. He's doing well as far as keeping up with his opposition, staying about even when it comes to gold. And he finished that Book of Thoth since he started with the Soul Trap, I believe, Thoth 2. Is called. He started out just walking out with that Soul Trap, not really going for a starting item or otherwise, which I guess if you're in the long lane, doesn't really matter.
Well, for Mancer, he just wanted to prioritize the Thoth, and I mean that's yeah, it's reasonable, but the way that he's playing the matchup is the more important part. He knows that he doesn't have the boots available, and Zaxi does. And speaking of being in a little bit of danger, Kaden now poked out pretty heavily. I like the choice there to not keep the engage going, though, with Mifflin.
Yeah, he's got to go back to base, and that's exactly what we'll see. Mifflin just caught him. I mean, you get hit by that root. Ouch.
Was worried that he might choose to dive there, but not having his immunity available shortly after is probably concerned he would fall as well.
Yeah, Mifflin at level 7 can dive that tower, especially given the ultimate, right? He can dive that tower and take about two or three tower shots realistically, but he's got to immune at least one of them, and well, it becomes a much more complex situation than it seems right now so far. Team's doing pretty well. Obey Alliance took a gamble by picking this Chronos. I think we can say this character can come up big, but it's an if. But right now, sitting pretty at top of the net worth, not really getting put down by Hou Yi too strongly.
This is exactly what Mancer needs to be doing, though, because like I was mentioning earlier before Kaden got into trouble, it's it's so crucial for a Kronos' early game to go well, and he's just getting a free farm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you don't want to happen if you're SoaR. And Zaxy's been trying to apply pressure, but there's really only so much that he can do after level 4. It becomes just a little bit easier for this Kronos to just AFK farm away in the lane, and if Zaxy chooses to overextend, well, he might end up getting picked himself.
And here's a Sobek, Medieval trying to help out and take Manser to town, but unfortunately not going to be the case. Team's looking for the Oracles now. Feather Step used by Kaden, and the Secure goes to SoaR Gaming. Medieval finds a tail whip, but gets stunned after the fact. Delta Marie just puts him down nice and easy. Mifflin gets in trouble, but he's saved by the support. First blood goes to Obey.
I'm actually really surprised there that Kaden was so scared of the situation and chose to back off. He might have been able to look for the kill on Mifflin. He does wrap back around. Excellent choice to just pick up Jelly in that back line.
Yeah, just a quick okey-doke kill. Nobody really expects him to be there. Zaxy finds a nice ricochet on a Delta Marine, but won't find the follow-up there, unfortunately. Nice ricochet, though. That was cute.
One of those calculator ricochets. And now DeWer is not even given the option to go into the ultimate. Shut down.
Yeah, shut down. More like shut up. He doesn't even get the chance to hit it. Just dead before he finds himself in the cloud. Dwarf goes down for about 15 seconds. Nice play by Stormy Rays there. Oh, Miff. That's just...
And he gets away with it.
Disrespectful. That's hitting him with the disrespecties right there. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Smack. He knows. It's mine. See you later. And then Stormy just has to hold that. There's nothing he can do.
Sometimes you just got to hold that L.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, Bologna with that blue buff, he'll probably still be okay in that lane. Yeah. It's more of like a minor nuisance, if anything, dealing with the Sun Wukong. But
well, realistically, it stops his aggression options. Sun Wukong is sort of the king of poke, and Bologna, without that blue buff, will still be able to clear the wave and live fine, but he can't go above and beyond.
Yeah, to a certain extent, it does prevent him, at least from chasing him into the tower, I would say.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of safety there for our dwarfs, who actually did just suffer a death. So, you know, all the little things, right? All the small things, perhaps.
And both teams, I would say the first few minutes, tons of aggression in like mid and duo, but now things have seemed to settle down just a little bit after Obey Alliance caught the unfavorable end of that mini Gold Fury skirmish. It does seem as though they're being a little bit more cognizant of the Wheelish and just how much burst potential that Feather Step actually has.
Yeah, they had to be careful, and they were careful to their you know, good for them. They were careful. He just surprised them. He showed up behind enemy lines and, oops, Feather Step. Nice grab there. Jelly's going to get knocked up a second time. There's the follow-up Feather Step. Big shot of the Keeks, mate. But he needed to take a step or two backwards in order to find the damage for the kill. Look at the fancy footwork coming out from the Giannis player, making use of multiple portals. Not going to find it.
Just a little mistiming on that Giannis, on that second ability for the Giannis. It just so unfortunate that Keeks was unable to find the unstable vortex off the Wheelish pool.
Yeah, like I said, I love the pathing. Watching him go through the ultimate and the secondary portal, but the unstable vortex is not the easiest ability to really line up, so not able to find it. Finds the objective, however. Oracles go the way of SoaR Gaming. All the while, Stormy Rays just pounding on the tower.
Just kind of just doing what Bologna does best, clearing out the T1. And Warriors, unfortunately, kind of just has to take it. He doesn't have a whole lot of options right now. Sun Wukong versus Bologna isn't the most, it's not a favorable lane at all. And Mifflin trying to get away with it yet again, but will be unsuccessful this time around. Kaden keeping hold of his speed buff.
I love Mifflin's drive-by mentality. He's just like, all right, here I come. I'm going to throw something at it. Didn't get it. Still walking. I'll see you later. Like, he just comes around the speed buff, tries to get it, doesn't, and just continues walking. Doesn't even stop to think about maybe I'll poke him. Just no thoughts. Just, all right, I'm out. Love that sort of thought process because he wants to get around the map as much as possible. Interrupting Stormy's dash, and we'll see Stormy just kind of stay here. I don't think the Robin wants to fight.
Unfortunately, Dwarves just didn't have the mana to follow up any more poke onto Stormy. They could have probably poked him down to a little bit under half, but
sure.
if your Sun Wukong doesn't have any mana, it's a lot safer to just cancel that one.
Yeah, a little bit troublesome stuff. Oh, the back from Mance are going to be stopped. Nice job, Caden.
I think the creep wave.
He just does it.
It's just the creep wave. If that creep wave
At
hadn't
level
been
11,
available, well, it's still kind of a nuisance because you have the Feather Step AoE, but imagine he gets stunned after aggressing onto the Chronos and is just eating all that Archer damage. The Chronos damage could definitely be enough, especially with a rewind available.
Fair.
It's easy for him to fall there.
That's fair. Like I said, it's not a play that I was going to make fun of him for. It was a play that I was just surprised.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like at level 4, level 3, everybody's aware that the minions are going to beat you up. But at level 11, or level 12, that Feather Step is obviously maxed out, and the Moonlight Charge is already doing work as well, about 3 or 4 points in that one, depending on what Caden's doing. See 3 points right there. You're going to clear that wave. You're going to smack him in the butt. Better safe than sorry, you're right. I mean, Caden sort of seeing the future, getting stunned and getting beat up by a bunch of archers isn't a fun deal. So, smart plays to keep it disciplined for Caden, as he's 1-0-1. Wants to keep that 0 in the middle nice and clean.
Minions are always so OP. I feel as though like it doesn't matter what stage in the game it is, they're just always a win factor for whoever has them on their side.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to be careful. Always got to be careful. At some point, though, you're just like, oh, there's the wave.
Yeah.
You just smack him down. I say that, but we've watched minions win games of Smite here before at the top level. And the fire minions just walking in all of a sudden.
Oh, those are different, though. those guys are way different. Like they're like level 1 archer clear insane kind of win factor. And Jelly going for the abduct. I like the sprint from Medieval. He knows that all he needs to do is get a knockup, but unfortunately picks the wrong direction for the pluck. And now with his damage dashed down, Jelly's is back up, and the damage is out. It's good to go. Jelly could be falling here.
Really good play by Zaxi, however, getting the stun and the ultimate to slow down everybody and really stop the onslaught. SoaR Gaming in a bad spot. They had a fantastic look, but a missed knockup coming out from the Wheelish, a missed pluck, and a missed knockup coming up from Sobek. Just a lot of missed abilities, which, I mean, that's Smite. You're not going to hit your stuff all the time. That was SoaR Gaming's team fight to win. They missed 3 abilities, and because of that, completely the other direction. Obey Alliance would have gotten at least 2 kills if Zaxi doesn't do what he does there. Everybody on SoaR needs to buy Zaxi's in tonight. That ultimate and the ricochet stun is why they got out of that left lane.
Very solid disengage by the Hunter player, and he definitely prevented his team from being punished pretty heavily there. Most importantly, Medieval, because when you Sobek plug into a team and you know the rotation's coming through, you're literally, you're further up the lane than what you want it to be. And so that's already troublesome. And then on top of that, you just don't have an escape for the rest of those members that are rotating onto you.
Yeah, and listen, buying dinner for Zaxi, it's easy. He does the MLC diet. All he does is eat hot dogs and chicken fingers. It's very simple. So team, go buy him some dinner. Right side, somebody else is eating, however. Dwarves half HP. Caden still playing it very safe. Stormy, on the other hand, just still battling it out.
Stormy's just, he's the classic solo laner that's just farming damage from being the warrior, and that's what Bologna's best at. But could be biting off a little bit more than he could chew, and now the tides are turning. Dwarves is looking to go in, but Decoy just a little bit short of nailing as much damage as he would have wanted. So Stormy will be safe underneath his tower. Yeah,
Caden showed up and decided to help out just a little bit. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggression on that Wheelish there, actually.
Mifflin was full HP, but I think that they were concerned about the Yanis having his ultimate available, possibly, because if the Yanis ults over, I mean, you never know who's going to be following behind him.
Big point. There are a couple of characters in the game that completely change the way you play. Neith and Nuwa shorten your HP bar. Every engagement you go in, you have to realize that you might just die sooner than later because they have a global ultimate that can just kill you. With the Giannis, you always have to be aware that you're never really fighting 2-on-2 or 3-on-2. There is always the possibility that somebody else is showing up, not just with one person.
And Portal Demon was the sights for SoaR Gaming. Unfortunately, though, now it's Delta Marine in that mid lane. Forced into the Khepri ultimate is Jelly, and now they're trying to find the counter engage. Sprint will be good, though, from Medieval, and everybody's just going to be able to disengage pretty safely.
Yeah, that was interesting because that wasn't a drop by SoaR like I've been kind of chastising them for. That was just, I mean, players just kept walking in and they had their sights on a low player, and then all of a sudden there's a full health support in front of the Sobek, and he, oops, got the wrong guy. My bad. Zaxi now getting chased out by the Chronos. This is where Chronos starts to really hit his stride.
And he's got the third item Fatalis.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason, I think. As soon as he procced his buff, his self buff, it immediately is actually disengaging. And we talked about that earlier, where I was like, I would probably favor a Soul more towards the Fatalis and the Chronos, but Manta's been utilizing this pretty effectively, and I think that the book rush is really the biggest standpoint for him because he got away with that greed. Yeah, exactly. And you know, so normally, I mean, normally you'll see a do more rush here usually when you take a look at some of the European players that play Chronos. Most notably thinking about Funball, he really likes that do more. The key is you need that base power. It's like a battery, right? Chronos isn't going to do anything if he runs out of batteries. He needs that big amount of power because at the core of it, he's a mage. And so if you're just coming out with boots and a Fatalis, you're just not going to do it. You're not a Freya. So you got to have that backup. I would have liked to see the penetration come on before the Fatalis, but keep in mind, Fatalis does have 10 flat, so there is a little bit of thought process there. So, but either way, right now is where Chronos is starting to like wake up. You know, he's got one arm out of the grave, and he's pulling himself out. Soon he's going to be eating brains. And right now it looks like SoaR is eating Jelly as he's getting absolutely destroyed, but he is safe, but only for a moment. Kaden able to find the last tick of damage. Few ultimates, though, expended on the side of SoaR to pick up that support kill. Yeah, I liked how Keeks didn't choose to ult the support. He knew his teammates were going to go ahead and finish that kill, or he hoped his teammates were going to go ahead and finish that kill, and he instead ulted the different target that could have affected that chase down. So he finds the target, ults them, they have to back off, allowing the rest of SoaR to go ahead and really chow down on Jelly. And unfortunately for Jelly, he's just too big of a hitbox to really escape. There's so much focus that can easily be placed onto a Khepri, especially with this Awilish Sobek combination. I imagine that that's what SoaR are going to be prioritizing, is just trying to pick him off, because whether they kill Jelly or not, as long as they force him into his ultimate, if it's on himself or even somebody else on their team, that's 100% a win. It prevents so much aggression from MOBA. And usually, I mean, if he's low enough to have to ult himself, he's not coming back to the team fight. So he's sort of de facto dead, right? We always talk about those half kills that don't make it to the player damage charts. That's or rather the slash lines. That's the one that's going to be important. PB and Jelly, you know, it's kind of walking into damage here, but not going to really find any consequence for it. Zaxi just trying to maintain pressure, keep it out in the vision, and Jelly's going to get knocked up, actually. Pulled from Medieval, pulled better from the Awilish, and that's the combo. Ladies and gentlemen, Zaxi gets credit for the kill. And an early beads by Mancer, trying to ensure that he doesn't get rooted down in that feather step worried the team was chasing. But the rest of SoaR had their eyes onto Delta Marine, just completely ran him down. I like the Aegis came as soon, right before he was getting hit by the ultimate out of Sobek. Really nice stuff, but unfortunately still winds up dying. Here's SoaR Gaming, right now up by 1,000 gold. The girdle and the ultimates are popped. And because of the push out of Jelly and Delta Marine, they were able to open up the Gold Fury and find a 3,000 gold lead. Zaxi mostly just dropping his ultimate there for that safety blanket of secure. You never really know if the Chronos is trying to lurk around, but I like this choice by SoaR to immediately have 2 members go to that portal demon, because not only does it ensure that Obey isn't immediately on the portal after losing Gold Fury, but I mean, if they can take it, they can take it. Exactly. And with 2 members, they get chased off of it, and Stormy actually might get in trouble for this. Girdle's popped by the guys on Obey Alliance. There's that Fire Giant getting woken up one more time. I mentioned it a couple of games ago, Taco. The mystical male meta makes fighting around this structure or this objective so difficult. Everybody's always waking him up, and he's just throwing rocks at people. Get off my lawn. The amount of times that we've seen people get knocked up
Yeah.
Especially in that Fire Giant pit. And it shifted team fights pretty drastically. Speaking of drastic, that damage from Keegs, that's nutty.
Mifflin can't fight here. Mifflin is 40% HP. Now, keep in mind, his root does have a heal, so maybe he will come in. Knowing Mifflin, he will come in. But that is a very big deal. You can see Mifflin off of the distance, healing up, not taking part in this fight. If Mifflin's here, Delta Marine is not in as much trouble. But because he gets hit by the ultimate of Giannis, Delta Marine's going to fall down. Kingsmate with the kill.
Stormy Ray is so easily able to tank up this tower and go in.
Nice pull.
And now it's Doors getting pulled out of the safety of his tower, but Kaden was a little bit low there. That's a risky business. Zaxi and Keegs, however, on the backside, just looking for Mancer and not even a chance to get the rewind off.
That was terrible positioning, just walking way too far into the enemy jungle. You're a ranged character. You don't need to be that close. Ouch.
I love how Zaxi also opted to go for the Fatalis immediately after the chins. He's got the damage with the Silver Branch Bro, with the Silver Branch Bow.
No, you're right, Silver Branch Bro.
Against Mage ADCs, baby, but he's doing an excellent job with his positioning. Zaxi, normally somebody who I think gets picked off more often than not for over-aggressing. He recognized early on that there was nothing he could do about the Chronos and just let him be.
Well, that's also one of the nice things that Zaxi also benefited from here is that Obey Alliance having the Chronos on their side as Stormy gets surrounded, he'll walk away. Kaden, however, he might be in trouble, jumps over the wall, being chased out by Dwarf, but likely to fall back. Mancer and his team said, look, if we gank Zaxi, that's just going to bring attention to this lane. We want to avoid the left lane so that they avoid the left lane. So Zaxi's saying, look, man, I'm not going to get ganked. Is allowed to be Zaxi, essentially. And he's going to take some of these fights. He's going to be a little bit more aggressive, and that's the game he wants to play. So by Obey Alliance going a character like Chronos, which by design wants to get away from the spotlight, Zaxi benefited, actually.
And I would say that typically you'd be very concerned about a Chronos getting so much free farm, but Mancer hasn't really been able to have that much of an impact, and it's 23 minutes in, his player damage is sitting kind of low, and I think that that's just been excellent target focus by SoaR, because they haven't really been looking at the Chronos, but they've been shutting down other members of Obey to prevent the Chronos from really doing anything. Yeah,
oh wow, the stun completely off the mark, and Keegs is able to find safety underneath his tower after the ultimate. Here comes aggression some more from the right side. He gets gripped up by the Hug Bug. Trouble for Stormy, however. He's half HP. Nice shot at a Delta Marine. And yeah, I would have liked to see that. See, that's the damage. And I think that Chronos probably could have been a little bit more effective maybe 3-4 minutes ago. But now, better late than never. Here he is showing up. Nice ult from Zaxi to keep Obey off the tower, but it's only going to happen once, and there are still minions alive to send them forward.
Keeps Obey off the tower, but Keegs with that chunk to Delta Marine. Girdle has been popped. SoaR are looking to go in underneath their tower, but Doris is up in the ultimate just in time, and SoaR's hanging out pretty low, but it'll be Jelly that actually falls, trying to get that abduct off.
Kaden and Stormy are low in the back, but Zaxi brings one even lower. Ultimate not going to be used in time. Mancer falls down. Kingsmate with a nice heads-up play. That was an instant reaction from Keegs to find the kill onto the Chronos. He's going to get over-aggressive and trade his life. I don't know what that one was about, but I liked the play before.
The play before it was definitely the more noticeable, and I think that's the one I want to pay attention to, rather than what Stormy and Keegs just teamed up to do there. But Kaden now looking to aggress and go in. He might be able to pick up Dwarves here, and he does.
Yeah, just one. I mean, Evo going to miss the plug, so unfortunately not going to be able to follow up here. 25.5 on the clock, 10 kills on the kill column for SoaR Gaming. They're up 7 kills. That's a huge amount, but they're only up about 2,000 gold. Are they not finding the objectives, or is Obey just doing a better job at keeping them off of those objectives?
It's mostly just been a brawl. It's actually, and also they lost their T2 tower in the dual lane for SoaR, so that is one thing that they have to keep in mind for a Chronos, is that split push factor is definitely still possible. He is just as much of an objective shredder as the Soul is, so even without having a physical hunter present, you don't really need it for damage onto objectives.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Between Robin, Soul, and Chronos, every tower is going to last maybe 5 seconds at the most. I mean, these guys are built to crush towers. They're two mages, that is. Robin, well, he just has a lot of basics real fast, right? That's just kind of bonus on it. So the Kronos now, yeah, like you said, right now we started from the bottom. I would have liked to see him start making his transition to the team fight at 20 minutes even when he finished that third item, whether it's Fatalis or otherwise. But he waited a little bit. He's still third from the bottom. Mancer needs to make a bigger impact. Otherwise, this is a wasted selection.
And also, SoaR need to be a little bit more careful about their engagements after the team fight has already started to disperse a bit. I mean, we saw Keegs getting a little bit greedy and going in, and sure, at that moment, it's fine. You can kind of get away with dying there, but that happens later on, and Fire Giant's on the table, and everybody's surrounding it, and then suddenly 2 members of your team are dead. That's free FG pretty much for the other team.
If Keegs doesn't die, that's a gold for his team right there, you know. So we're already seeing the implications of being over aggressive. SoaR Gaming, it's interesting. I was kind of not yelling, but you know, Kaden, why aren't you being more aggressive? And now Keegs, mate, why are you being this aggressive? The team needs to find some sort of happy medium and wind up on the same page.
And both sides really unable to look for those objectives right now. They're really just trying to feel each other out still. They've been playing fairly aggressive. They had that little lull in time where they were not really trying to go in all the way, but now that it's back to just that 0 to 100 moment, whoever finds the next pick, I think, is going to be the one to definitely pick up the objective. And as I'm saying that, Mancer's actually trying to solo this Gold Fury by himself. Yeah,
Kronos is going to have trouble finding the solo Gold Fury kill. Zaxi shows up, and that's ultimately what takes Kronos off of it. But, I mean, so Kronos does have a little bit of healing in his kit, but it's a little rough. It's not exactly a hunter with Devo Ghost, put it that way. So it's going to be one of the more problematic. Mifflin gets tossed up and pulled down right into the hole from Keegs, mate. Nice little combination coming out from SoaR, but no follow-up, really. He gets plucked, he gets pulled, he gets portaled, and nobody hits him after the portal.
I don't think anybody wants to hit him when he has that Thorns popped. It's just too dangerous for the team to lower their HP trying to aggress that Robin. And now both sides still able to contest this Portal Demon. Having that active down, though, on the side of Mifflin is going to make things pretty dangerous.
And his ult.
Jelly, though, forcing the beads by Keegs. That's very smart. And Girdle pop both sides. Stormy's looking to go in. The Hui ultimate has been dropped, and it's Jelly who's being the focus again by SoaR.
Keegs playing it relatively safe this time around. Over the wall, tossing the unstable vortexes. Still can't find a target, however. Keegs now in trouble. Finds a portal through the wall himself and avoids a stun out of Kronos. Mifflin still on the chase. And he finds Keegs, mate, with the long range, but it's not enough to kill. Keegs will be safe out of the tier 2. Now continuing the fight over on the right side of the map. Dwarf finds the stun. The portal demon goes down. It's all obeys.
And Mancer actually finding the kill onto Medieval. Mifflin yet again chasing down Zaxi. SoaR is there to try and provide a little bit of support, but he doesn't have the health for it necessarily. But Dwarves might have just walked into the wrong neighborhood using that 72 transformations. Has no escape right now, but Keegs off the mark with the unstable vortex.
Oh, he can't hit anything, but he's aiming for the Fire Giant. Keegs, mate, still not going to be able to confirm the Fire Giant with the ultimate. Damage out of Delta Marine. Left side, trouble for the Hunter. Mancer goes down. Stormy Rays gets credit. The other 4 have a Fire Giant bump. Keegs, mate, he's going to get hit by the Jingu Bang. The Dwarst gets the kill. Kaden going to fall as well, or he'll jump over the wall. There's another jump to follow up, and the solo laner cannot catch up. Kaden safe for the moment. Still trying to find an exit, but Dwarst finds Stormy.
Zaxi might have just cost himself his life, but it does seem as though his peel was strong enough. He was able to get Kaden out of that sticky situation. Nice. So unfortunate, though, for SoaR. I don't know if you noticed, but that unstable vortex, had it come just half a second later, and that Fire Giant was going to be a steal.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The ultimate just almost barely takes it. And Dwarst, oh, man, just Keegs, mate. Rough stuff, because you can see he's top of the player damage, so it's not like he's terrible at this character, right? But Dwarves comes through in the Tiger Stun and completely threads the needle of where the unstable is going, and then he misses a follow-up unstable, and then he misses the third unstable, and Dwarves is just literally running a circle around this poor Giannis player, and then Giannis just launches the ult, and like you said, half a second too early. Just, what did you say the other day? a series of unfortunate events.
Yes.
That's kind of that sequence that we just saw out of Keegs Giannis.
I would say this game was in SoaR's favor up until that last engagement. They just spent a little bit too much time not really committing underneath that portal demon, and you can't choose to be hesitant against a Chronos or a SoaR. Even though Mancer doesn't have a whole lot of player damage to his name still, the little bit of damage that he has done has been consistently impactful because it's going entirely onto the carries.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we used to, I always mention relative or real damage, right? You see the solo laners and the Vulcans, and okay, you got some fake damage. But I mean, all of his damage has, like you said, had an impact in the game. It's going on the right targets and it's doing things at the right times. SoaR Gaming, they get pushed out of the portal demon, and then Dwarfs comes forward, and you said it. They were like, "Oh man, Dwarfs is in the wrong neighborhood." No, it was SoaR that was in the wrong neighborhood. They were on their front porch when they should have been at the Fire Giant, but nothing really was zoning them. It was Dwarfs was zoning them not by way of keeping them crowd controlled, but by being a tasty kill target. Instead, he killed Stormy and their mid laner. Ouch.
It's always rough when you not only lose the FG, but also a few members of your team to count. And now, without any towers remaining on the side of SoaR Gaming, these Phoenixes are looking pretty tasty to obey.
Nice dance coming out from Jelly as well. Keegs, unlucky in the late stages of the game. Roma Invicta. Kaden capitalizes off of Stormy's stomp down. Mancer is not going to be able to split push that mid lane Phoenix. Nice knockup, enabling Kaden to find a grab and Zaxi to find a kill. PB and Jelly is number 2 on the menu. Now continuing as Zaxi drops the Suns, mainly for the slow, not the damage. Dwarfs being chased by the jungler. Everybody else headed into the jungle to chase down Mifflin. He'll be safe, and Dwarfs won't be a target anymore.
That was best case scenario for
That was great
SoaR.
defensive stop.
Every single time. Mancer with the overcommit into that mid lane Phoenix thought that he could just quickly shred it down because he's Chronos. And to be fair, Chronos is excellent at shredding Phoenixes in that scenario, but they just were expecting it on the side of SoaR. They had their carries in the mid lane available and ready to take him out.
Did he have minions? I feel like he went in there without
I don't believe his minions were already there. He was just trying to secure that mid Phoenix really quick and then ultimate out.
If the Chronos has minions there to break the backdoor protections, I think he gets that Phoenix. But he tries to rush it. He goes a little bit too soon, and because of that, everything goes awry for Obey Alliance. One of the tougher spots that they've been in so far. They still lead by about 4,000, but Fire Giant is basically gone. They're going to be up about 40 seconds. SoaR's going to be able to go ahead and be in position. Taco, this is a reset. The game is completely even.
It might look completely even on paper, but my primary concern is, sure, you've got the wombo combo situation with the Awelish and Sobek, but this is still around that stage where Awelish isn't as effective as she once was. And at the start, Featherstep, completely devastating. Now, it kind of difficult to find the primary target. You're looking mostly at the Soul or the Chronos, but when you have a front line like Robin, Sun Wukong, and Khepri to try and get through for that priority pick, it just becomes incredibly difficult.
Featherstep is also one of these abilities that, now, it does give you immunity frames, but you know where you're going to land. It's like a special delivery Merc late game where it winds up being just as much of a liability as it is an offensive ability. The opponent can just capitalize off of, okay, he's going to Featherstep. As soon as the animation's done, we'll just blow him up. So really got to be careful to Featherstep on your end of the battlefield, making sure to make use of the Sobek and your own pull. Stormy's going right in, setting up the 50 protections, and around the bend comes the Sobek. Keegsmate with the big burst from the girdle, trying to aim his shot. Khepri is going to be popped, and he goes around Mancer. He misses the unstable. Now Keegsmate being chased down by Dwarfs off screen. 2 for Delta Marine, 1 for Dwarfs, and that's going to be 2 players remaining for SoaR Gaming. Zaxi, he once was alive. The Aegis is going to help him out for the moment. He'll jump over and meet his Sobek. Both players will back to base, but SoaR Gaming, they win the team fight, or excuse me, Obey Alliance win the team fight, and they're not even going for the Fire Giant, Taco. They're just going straight for the win. 40+ seconds on 3 players in SoaR Unis.
And they have the composition that could secure this Fire Giant if they're able to find it. They have the Chronos, they have the Soul, and it looks like that's their entire intention.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Look at
Zaxi taking one out. But I don't think it's not enough.
No.
There's too much damage already going onto that Titan, and because of that, Obey Alliance